Hi, once again, everyone. So, I wanted to do something different this time and do like a little vlog or video while I'm driving. I purchased this cell phone holder a while ago, so I have always had it in mind, but I just never really did it until now. So, this is the first video that I'm doing this way. Sometimes when you create shorts, it just doesn't give you enough time to say what you really want to say, and perhaps some of you like to see what happens. So perhaps some of you like to hear more extended conversations or tips or tricks on how to learn English. I will talk about today that sometimes it is challenging to get that confidence to start speaking, because as humans, sometimes we're afraid to make mistakes, right? Nobody wants to make mistakes. But you have to look at mistakes as stepping stones to things that are going to make you better. You know, when you think of that sports player who is excellent at everything that he or she does, they were once a beginner. You know, for example, a great teacher was once a beginner. So you really have to look in terms of 5 years. How am I going to be in 5 years? And you have to get yourself into the habit of having or demonstrating habits that are that that are going to help you be an excellent speaker, a writer, a reader. So I think I did one time a podcast that says excellence is a habit. You don't become excellent at things just overnight. You have to sort of develop a couple of routines. You have to, sometimes for me, for example, getting up early, getting my day started, prepared, doing the things in the morning and at my house, the dishes, the trash, getting my lunch packed. So by the time I get to work, I'm prepared. I don't have to worry about those things. So I'm not always rushing and sort of stressing about little things. So by no means am I 100% excellent at everything that I do, but I do try to get those routines in that make me a little more successful, being prepared. So what I'm trying to tell you is that sometimes you have to make mistakes that you are going to learn from. You have to self-reflect. They always use that sort of comparison, looking in the mirror. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve? So self-reflection becomes a really crucial part of your everyday routine. What am I wasting my time on? Am I on Instagram too much? Am I posting too much? Am I looking at memes all day long? Why am I doing that? So then you change that behavior and say, okay, I'm only going to look at Instagram for an hour after I get out of work or in the morning, whatever. And by the way, I was on Instagram, but I chose to leave it behind because I wanted to focus a little bit more on YouTube, because I do feel that there are more English language learners on YouTube that actually want to learn. I'm not saying that on Instagram that's not the case, but for YouTube it's a wider audience, and I do think that me being an American native speaker of English, hopefully that helps you a little bit more to understand some of the phrases and some of the idioms and some of the things that Americans, what makes us or what makes me American. So to build that confidence, you need to make mistakes. You need to, sort of say, okay, I didn't pronounce that correctly, or I didn't write that correctly. What am I going to do differently? What are my strategies? Have I done everything imaginable to get better? It is frustrating. Some people like to give up and say, I'm too dumb. I can't do this. I'm a horrible speaker. So what is it that you're going to do differently that is going to make you better? You have to hang in there and not just give up. A lot of people give up, and it doesn't necessarily just happen with English, in math, in writing, reading, whatever it is. Some people don't sort of dig in to the potential that they could have, developing grit, that toughness of still being excuse me, so that that tenacity in you, that when you do have challenges, you do keep going by trying something different, not saying I'm too dumb, I'm never gonna get this yet. So hang in there, use your strategies, use things that you've never done before. Are you studying? Are you looking into what it is you are going to learn? Have you sought to read a book, an article, watch a video on something, on pronunciation, on reading, on grammar? So those are so many ways. Those are ways that you can sort of improve your journey to learning English. So if you find yourself saying, I can't do this, I'm never going to learn this, try out different things. What have you done to get better at it? And say, look, I'm going to take it step by step. I'm going to figure out what I can do. Now, I did write a blog post, and I did have a podcast that's called Swallowing the Whole Pineapple. So what I want you to do is think of a pineapple. I love pineapple in the summertime. But think about this. If I'm going to eat a pineapple, I can't just swallow the whole thing, right? What do I have to do to eat it? I have to chop it up. English is the same way. You are not going to learn every single aspect of English in one overnight or in a couple of weeks. So just cut it up. Take a section, prepositions, learn them well, use them in everyday language or situations, and then master them and then practice them. And then maybe you move on to phrasal verbs, and then move on to idioms, and then move on to different things. Don't look at it as a whole pineapple that you can't swallow, because it's overwhelming. You become overwhelmed when you think of it that way, saying, I have to learn all these rules, I have to learn all these things, and in your mind, that's overwhelming. It's kind of like writing a 5-paragraph essay. When you think about the 5-paragraph essay, you're like, oh my God, I have to write 5 paragraphs. Well, just focus on 1 paragraph at a time and master it, and then go and say, oh, that was not too bad. And then you sort of write the 2nd paragraph, and then the 3rd, and then you go back to your introduction, and then you go back to your concluding paragraph. So if it's one thing I want you to think of, that is, think of English as a pineapple. Cut it up and then learn 1 piece at a time. And just like in the summertime, I love pineapples. So I hope this little vlog has helped you sort of look at ways to learn English. Have a wonderful week and look out for more content.